We are Bacon Bets and we are making money, and baby, we're back. Baby, we're back. The Bacon Bets parlay hit. We only had 3 incorrect picks on the entire night, and 2 of those 3 picks I told you I didn't feel great about. I said Rebetsky and Duncan was way too close to call, and that fight was a war. I mean, we had 2 fight of the year candidates in the Apex. That fight night was incredible. I'm not gonna lie. And then in our other pick, we had Nick Klein. We picked the underdog. We went with the underdog. I didn't really love it, but that's what I went with, and I was wrong. I'll admit when I'm wrong. In the last one, I can't believe I was wrong on a Neil Magny fight. I'm never wrong on a Neil Magny fight. It's the first time that I could ever remember being wrong on a Neil Magny fight. I thought he was going to get knocked out. He did get rocked a little bit in the first, but Oleski Dos Santos gassed out. Like I said, he might, but I did feel good about that one. So I'm not even going to say that one isn't, that's a real loss. I'll take that loss. The other 2, not so much. I didn't bet on those ones that much, but we're back at it again. UFC Vegas 109. In the main event, we got Roman Dolidze versus Anthony Hernandez. Now, before we even get into the breakdowns, I'll probably talk about it then, but I'm going to talk about it now. I think the winner of this fight is going to fight Robert Whittaker. I really do. Both these guys are borderline top 10, and then Robert Whittaker just dropped to 7. They're not going to give one of these guys a title shot. The middleweight division is jammed right now. And Whittaker is not going to get another top 5 guy for a little bit. So I think whoever wins this one is going to fight Robert Whittaker. So whoever wins this, the stakes are high. Stakes are high in this one. Let's just break it down right now. We got UFC Vegas 109, Dolidze versus Hernandez. We're kicking things off with the women's flyweights, and this is a good one to get the night started, I think. It's going to be Gabrielle Fernandez versus Juliana Stoliarenko. I can never say that last name, but I'm going to go with Fernandez in this one. Hopefully I won't have to say her last name a lot because I ain't picking her. I think that Julia is an armbar or bust. You know what I mean? Fernandez is way more well-rounded, and I think that's going to be the major difference. And the numbers on this one tell the whole story. Juliana's a one-trick pony. She goes for that armbar more than anything. Out of her 11 career wins, 10 of them are by submission, and most of those submissions are armbars. I know it's a crazy stat, but it tells you everything you need to know. And Fernandez, on the other hand, is a much more complete fighter on the feet. She's landing almost 3.5 significant strikes per minute. And Juliana gets tagged a lot. She's absorbing 4.5 significant strikes per minute. So I think if the fight stays standing, Fernandez is going to light her up. And even if it hits the mat, I think that Fernandez is smart enough to be working against an armbar all camp, because that's all Juliana's going to be looking for on the ground. So I like Fernandez a lot. I think she's going to outwork her everywhere and get a clear decision in this one. We got welterweights up next. Uros Medic going against Gilbert Urbina. I liked Urbina a lot on tough, but I'm going to take Medic here. I got to say the odds are a little bit crazy. Urbina is a good grappler and a tough guy, and I think his only way to win is through the grappling, but his chin's a problem. Right, his chin's problem. He gets tagged a lot, and Medic is a savage who hits like a truck. And I do think the odds are wild, like I said, but it's a classic striker versus grappler, and I feel like striker's been getting the better of that. As of late, Medic is a straight-up killer on his feet, though. He's landing almost 4.7 significant strikes per minute, and he's always looking to put his opponents away. And on the flip side, Urbina has been finished by strikes in 3 of his last 7 fights, and I think that's a big red flag. Like I said, I think his grappling is his only path to victory, but Medic's aggressive pressure and knockout power are going to be a problem from the moment the bell rings to the last ring. So I think Medic's just going to be too much for Urbina to handle on the feet, and I think he might catch him with a clean shot and even get the KO. So we're going to go with Medic by win, but like I said, I wouldn't be afraid to sprinkle a little KO in there. We're moving to the women's bantamweight division with Jocelyn Edwards versus Priscilla Zombie Girl Cachoeira, and honestly, this one is going to be a war, but I'm going to go with Jocelyn Edwards. I do think Zombie Girl does fit up to her nickname. She does fight like a zombie. She's a pure brawler. And that's where we're going to dive into the numbers a little bit, because if you look at Priscilla, she gets hit 7.15 times per minute. Again, 7.15 times per minute. That you just can't be on the winning end of too many fights and have that be your strikes absorbed per minute. That's bananas. It has to be one of the highest of all time of any fighters that has more than 5 fights in the UFC. That's ridiculous. And then if you look at Jocelyn on the other side, she hits the other girl 4.62 strikes per minute. And she has 53% accuracy on her strikes, and she's only eating about 3 strikes per minute. So she's way more defensively sound. And if you look at Priscilla's last win, yeah, it was a stunning knockout. Her last win was awesome. But I really, and I don't want to say luck, because I feel like that's disrespectful. I want to say it was more aggression than it was pure skill. She's always moving forward. She's always trying to land the big shot. But I think just Joseline's just so much cleaner on her feet. I think she's going to pick her apart. Other than that last knockout win, Priscilla's been finished by strikes 4 times in her career, which women's MMA, that doesn't happen that much. So I could see Joseline, if Priscilla comes out super aggressive, I can see Joseline staying on the outside and finding the big shot and maybe even putting her out. So we're going to go with Joseline Edwards. I wouldn't touch KO, but again, if you're feeling froggy and you want to throw a couple dimes on it, I don't think that's a bad call. I'm not telling you what to do. But I don't think that's a bad call. Now we're over at the men's bantamweights with Elijah Smith and Toshiami Kazama. I'm going to go with Elijah Smith here. I think he's a super prospect. He could do it all. Kazama is a decent grappler, but his takedown defense is a joke. Smith should just dominate. Elijah Smith is the real deal. He's a legit prospect, and I'm all in on this guy. While Kazama is a black belt on the mat, his takedown defense is his biggest weakness. Smith is a beast in the wrestling department, averaging an insane 4 takedowns per 15 minutes with 53% accuracy, and I think that's going to be a huge problem for Kazama. But even if Smith isn't going to want to get it to the ground because of Kazama's jiu-jitsu and grappling ability, I think he has the advantage on the feet too. Not even though I think. What am I talking about? I know he has the advantage on the feet. He has the advantage everywhere in this fight. So wherever it takes place, I do feel like Smith has a massive advantage. I feel like the kid's going to put on a show, maybe even get a finish. So we're going to go with Elijah Smith. I don't need to break this one down too much further. Julius Walker versus Rafael Cerqueira in the light heavyweight division. Julius Walker, I'm going to go with him. He was hyped up big when he came in and he lost his UFC debut. But I do think he gets it together against a guy who isn't a UFC veteran, right? The last time he fought, it was Alonzo Menafield, and Alonzo Menafield's been fighting for God knows how long. So he's a guy who's been there for a while. Even though Menafield hasn't had that much success at the UFC level, he's a guy who's been at the UFC level for a long time. I don't love the huge odds because of Walker not beating Menafield in his debut, but we're going to go with him because that's our pick, right? I do think the loss might have been a blessing in disguise. I think he got humbled a little bit, and now he's going to fight smart. There's not going to be those octagon jitters. I think he gained a ton of experience, even though it was just one UFC fight, and he's facing Rafael, who's looking for his first UFC win. And when you look at the stats, Walker's a much more active striker. He's landing a lot more per minute than Cerqueira is, and Walker has a significant reach advantage. He fights at high volume. He'll put you against the cage. He'll hold you there. That wins rounds sometimes. So I do think he's going to stay patient, pick his shots, get a clear decision victory, and get back in the win column. We're over on the main card now with the middleweights. Christian Leroy Duncan, CLD versus Eric, your boy, Anders. I'm going to go CLD here. I think the guy's a stud. I think he's a great striker, and he's not afraid to grapple. Anders is a great athlete. He's coming from a former college football background, but you never know which version of him is going to show up. You know what I mean? Early in his career, he was a guy with a lot of hype. A lot of people thought he was going to be a big prospect, and just sometimes he just doesn't show up. His last fight, he did get a win over Chris Weidman, but at this point in Chris Weidman's career, is that something you could brag about? Probably not. CLD's landing 4.75 significant strikes per minute with 59% accuracy. That's unbelievable for the middleweight division where these guys hit so hard, right? It's not like you're getting hit by a flyweight. You're getting hit by a very, very large man in CLD. Anders is a physical monster. Andy is a good wrestler, but like I said, he's been inconsistent, and his striking defense is a problem. He's absorbing over 4 significant strikes per minute, and you can't do that against a guy like CLD. I think CLD's superior technique and relentless pressure is going to be too much for Anders. Anders might even gas out. He's going to keep him at the end of his punches and kicks, and even if Anders tries to wrestle, CLD showed that he could hang. He showed that he could wrestle. So I'm going to take CLD to get the win, maybe even a finish, continuing his rise in the middleweight division. This fight, we're going a little crazy here. We got Miles Johns versus Gene Matsumoto, and I'm going with the big underdog here, Miles Johns. Yeah, he didn't look good in his last fight, but up until his last fight, I thought he's been looking good. I thought, because Miles Johns is a guy that He's been in the UFC for a while. He wasn't very active early on in his career, and he started to up his activity. He started to string together wins. Like I said, his last fight wasn't his best performance, but Gene Matsumoto, he lost against Rob Font in his last fight. It was a split decision. A lot of people thought Gene might have won the fight, but Rob Font hasn't looked good as of late. Rob Font hasn't looked like the Rob Font of old. So you're losing to, I don't want to say wash because I love Rob Font. I got a Rob Font autographed glove in my house, but he's not the old Rob Font. And you're losing against him, right? And now you're going against a guy, Miles Johns, who has a ton of UFC experience. For the first time in his career, I know it's not a significant height and reach advantage, but I think for the first time in Miles Johns' career, he has the height and reach advantage, right? He's going to be an inch taller, 2 inches more reach. He's a gritty veteran. He has power. He's a great wrestler. He can do it all. Miles Johns is super well-rounded. There's a reason people were super hyped on him a couple years ago. So I think his experience combined with the power he carries in his hands is going to be a key in this fight because Matsumoto does get hit. He does get hit, and you're not getting hit by guys with the power of Miles Johns. So I think it's going to be a back and forth war. I think it might even be a split decision. That's the only reason I think I'm picking Johns here because the odds are so crazy. And it's just one of those things where you get Miles Johns at plus two something, you got to take him. You have to take him in this fight that I think is going to be razor thin. So we're going to go with Miles Johns here, and I like it. I like it a lot. One of the best nicknames in fighting, and now I'm kind of mad at myself that I didn't put him on my shorts for best nicknames of current UFC fighters. We got Andre Touchy Fili going against Christian Rodriguez. Christian Rodriguez has been the prospect killer as of late. Every guy that UFC has been hyping up, Christian Rodriguez just goes in there and beats down. I like Fili a lot, but we're going to go with Rodriguez here. And I think Fili's super skilled, and that's the reason I like him. I think he's a very good kickboxer. I think he has great grappling, but he has a lot of miles, and his chin has been showing it as of late. He's been getting dropped a lot, and that's why I want to go with Christian Rodriguez. It comes down to the mileage. Fili's been in some crazy wars. He's got over 37 pro fights. He's been in the UFC for a long time. Rodriguez is only 27 years old. He's 8 years younger and has way less damage on him. In Fili's last 6 fights, he's been knocked out twice. Bad sign. Rodriguez is a super clean boxer with good power, and he's a solid grappler. I think he's going to be too fast and too fresh for Fili. I really do. And I like Andre Fili, so it hurts me to say that. I think Rodriguez is going to connect with something clean, and it's going to be a bad night for the veteran, so I'm going to go with the young gun in this one. We're over in the women's strawweight division with Iasmin Lucindo versus Angela Overkill Hill. We're going to go with another underdog here. We're going to go with Angela Hill. And it's very similar to the Miles John reason. Am I like positive she's going to win the fight? No. But you get Angela Hill at almost 2-1 odds. She's a fighter that is close in every single fight she's in. She has the most split decisions maybe in UFC history. It's incredible. She has this ability to fight everyone close. And if you look at her record, you see 18 wins, 14 losses. It doesn't look great. But look at who she's fighting. She's fighting the top of the top all the time. So I really, really like Angela Hill in this one. It's a value play. Lucindo is tough, but Angela Hill has a huge experience advantage. She's faced a murderer's row of opponents in this division. When you look at the stats, she's a machine. She lands almost 5.5 significant strikes per minute, which is almost double Lucindo's. Lucindo only throws like a little bit under 3, and Hill has great striking accuracy of around 50%. Lucindo is a good wrestler, but if you look at Hill, she has great takedown defense, 75%. 75% takedown defense. And when you take her down, she gets up to her feet. That was the thing why she lost a lot of split decisions early in her career, because when she would get taken down, she would lay there. Not anymore. She realized she needs to get up to her feet. She has great cardio. I don't think the age is a factor. She looks fresh. She looks young. She moves fast. I like Angela Hill a lot. So I think this is going to be one of those ones where you walk into the fight, you think it's going to be a clear win. No, I think this is going to be might be a split decision win or loss for Angela Hill. So that's why we're going to roll with her in this one. Now we're moving over to the men's bantamweight division with Steve Erceg versus Ode Osbourne. I'm going to go with Erceg in this one. I think his boxing's slick enough to catch Osbourne on the chin and get a finish and try to get back on track. Erceg was one of the few flyweights finishing people. He was having a lot of hype. There's a reason he got a title fight so early in his career. And there's so much talk about his technical striking. He's a good grappler too. Steve Erceg could really do it all. Osbourne's super athletic and he is dangerous, but his defense could be a problem, right? He absorbs almost 4 significant strikes per minute. That means he gets hit a lot, especially flyweights. They usually move their head so well. They're in and out a lot. So getting hit that much as a flyweight, it's not a good look. And I think Erceg's precision and his ability to counter-strike are going to be the key in this fight. I think he's going to be able to find Osbourne's chin and really put him away. He's a very well-rounded striker, and if the fight goes to the ground, I think he's going to be fine there too, and I think he's going to dominate Osbourne if it gets to the ground. So I'm going to call for a finish for Steve Erceg here. I think he's going to get back in the win column. I think going against Osbourne is going to be really good for his career because he's had a couple losses, but those losses are only against the top guys in the flyweight division. This is up at bantamweight, though. This is up at bantamweight. So I think having the extra weight, I think that's going to be very good for Steve Erceg. I think he's too big for the flyweight division. So I think moving up to bantamweight is a good call for Steve Erceg's career. And he's going against Ode Osbourne, who isn't a natural bantamweight. He's fought flyweight too. So it's a natural progression. It's a good step up into the bantamweight division for Steve Erceg. Now it's time for your main event of the evening. Roman Dolidze versus Anthony Fluffy Hernandez, and we're going with my boy Fluffy. He's more active. He has a higher output. He's on a serious winning streak. Dolidze could just be too patient at times, just too slow. I think the winner of this one, like I said in the opening, the winner of this one's probably going to get Robert Whittaker. And I think that Anthony Hernandez is super motivated right now. I think he wants to get to a title shot. I think he wants to get these big fights. And I think he's an absolute machine. He's landing almost 4.5 significant strikes per minute. He's averaging 4.71 takedowns per 15. And this is a 25-minute fight. He has incredible cardio. He's riding a 6-fight win streak. And he's not just winning, he is dominating. Yes, Dolidze's powerful, but he could be a little slow to get going, which is a major problem against a guy like Hernandez who weaponizes pace. I think Fluffy's going to push that pace, and I think from start to finish, he's going to overwhelm Dolidze with strikes, takedowns, submission attempts, and just keep that pressure on him all night for 5 rounds. I think the winner of this is absolutely going to get a huge step up in competition, and I think the winner of this is going to be Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. That got to be the perfect card, right? That has to be it. Each week we're talking about it, and each week we get closer and closer to the perfect card, and I think this is the one. We got some underdogs. We got some upsets. We got some big wins. And this week, we're going to be talking the Bacon Bets Parlay, and it's only going to be big fights this time around because 2 of the 3 are the main and co-main. Let's just jump right in. We got Anthony Fluffy Hernandez going against Roman Dolidze. Like I told you in the breakdown, I think Fluffy has way too much to offer for Dolidze. I think he's going to weaponize pace. I think he's going to put it on him. I think once he gets him to the ground, he might get a TKO stoppage or he might submit him. I think that he's just going to be way too much for Dolidze to handle. And then we're going to go with Steve Erceg in the co-main event. Steve Erceg's only losing to the upper echelon of flyweights. He's only losing to the creme de la creme. Ode Osbourne's not that. And I used to like Ode Osbourne a lot, but he's just not that upper echelon flyweight. He's not a Pantoja, right? So I really like Steve Erceg in that matchup. And then I'm going to go with Christian Leroy Duncan against Eric, your boy Anders. Eric, you're not our boy this weekend. We are going against you. At one point, I really liked Eric Anders because I think it was me being a football guy. He's a former Alabama linebacker. So I just thought, I was like, oh, this guy's a freak athlete. He's going to be able to thrive. And it just seems like he doesn't show up a lot, right? His last win was against a very old GFL-bound Chris Weidman. So I just don't think he is as dedicated to MMA as he was at one point. I just think he's more on the way out. Like you see him in movies and things like that. I think that this is just a way to collect a paycheck. And when you're getting in there with a guy like Christian Leroy Duncan, you can't be collecting a paycheck against CLD. I think he might even put his lights out. So again, we're going to go with Anthony Fluffy Hernandez, Steve Erceg, and Christian Leroy Duncan. That's the Bacon Bets Parlay. And that is our show. I want to thank everybody for watching. I want to thank our producer, John Roy. I hope you guys all like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let's make money. Let's have that perfect card. We're Bacon Bets, baby. We're doing it. We're doing it.